What's up, world? It is Evan here from the Moxstars podcast, doing our first ever cEDH deck tech video around Pantlaza, Sun-favored, a deck that has sort of gathered a bit of attention around it. It is 3-color first sliver, food chain, everything outlet going insane, casting everything from your library. And today we're going to talk about my personal build, which I haven't taken to tournament yet, but it is performing like crazy out in the wild. So let's get right into it. If you want to support the show, you can find all the information and all the details down below in the description. Let's get to the deck. So if you're not familiar with Pantlaza, whenever Pantlaza Sun-favored enters the battlefield or another dinosaur enters the battlefield under my control, you may discover X, where X is that dinosaur's toughness rather than its power. Do this only once each turn. So right away, this says food chain, which is obvious because if you can bounce this thing up and down, you can cast everything from your library that's mana value 4 or less, which is amazing. It's an amazing outlet and amazing ability because the one thing that Naya has lacked for so long is the ability to generate card advantage, which is why Rocco out of nowhere just like took the cEDH world by storm, because you're not just getting one card for or an ability off of your commander, you're getting 2 cards for it. And this is a little bit more RNG focused, but there are some really cool and unique ways to break it that even I probably don't know all of the ways, and you might know more ways than me. So if you do, get down in the comment section below, let me know what you've seen and how you've played it. And I'm so intrigued by this deck right now, so I would love to have that conversation. I love to interact. So first off, let's start with our battles. We're just going for Invasion of Ikoria. This is basically Dockside deck. We're not really playing around with too many other things. Like, we want to keep this like streamlined and efficient. And so like if we're ever like going for a dinosaur, it's because we're playing against like Kenrith and we need the Runic Armosaur to like really battle the activated abilities on that so we can keep up and stay in the race. There's also a few other creatures that would warrant like using this like tutor for something else, and that like also goes with like Finale of Devastation or Worldly Tutor. While I don't really want to use these what are essentially like, I don't know, silver bullets in a way for Dockside to like go get Dockside, get the loop started. This one just like, it rocks, but it also has that limitation of only being able to search for non-humans. So I can't go get a Ranger Captain. I can't go get, Professional Facebreaker. I can't go get Imperial Recruiter. I can't go get certain things to help me filter out other cards, which is the weakness that Invasion of Ikoria has. Down to the creatures, we're running 28 creatures, which is a fair amount. I feel like this is like just the right amount for a lot of the decks that I end up building. You can see all my decks in my deck profile. You can see exactly where I'm at. Anything that begins with the gang is something that I'm building or prospectively building for cEDH. So go on, check that out. First we have Walking Ballista. While I'm not running Heliod, even though I am running like probably more enchantments than your average Pantlaza deck, Heliod or Walking Ballista is just great here because I'm also on Cloudstone Curio for Dockside. So once I'm able to generate that infinite mana, Walking Ballista becomes a win condition, which I'm not really upset about at all. It's actually like a great outlet that most people are aware of it. So great card, obvious inclusion here. Allosaurus Shepherd, another card that is just so good in the meta right now and so good in cEDH in general, just protecting everything. And then as far as dorks go, Avacyn's Pilgrim, Birds of Paradise, Delighted Halfling. I even venture to say that Ragavan is a mana dork, just generating those treasures. And then protections, we're playing like Destiny Spinner, Drannith Magistrate as a stacks piece, Grand Abolisher, Protect the Win. Going through Boromir, underrated. I'm a big fan of this. The big thing when you're stuck in this particular 3-color pairing is that you don't have access to so much interaction. Like, you do, but most of the time you're playing to not lose until you can generate a way to win the game. And that sounds like, oh, no shit, dude. But it's just what these colors have to do with. They're basically in desperate times because you don't have a lot of card draw. That's what our commander's there for, to get 2-for-1s. You don't have much interaction on the stack, which is, I guess, what I mean. And so cards like Boromir help like protect the win, but also like protect your field, your conditions, stuff like that. We have another stacks piece with the Aven Mind Sensor, which is great. Dualcaster mages to battle on the stack. You can actually just steal someone's counterspell, protecting whatever you're doing, but then we're also running Twin Flame for that conditional win there as well. If it just happens to come up, it's a great way to threaten a win, potentially just close out a game out of nowhere. Let's see. Endurance, Protection, Recruiter, Tutor, Facebreaker, Card Advantage. Like we said, we need as much as we can get in Naya. And then there's a couple like questionable cards here where I'm sitting here and I am still like questioning whether or not I want to keep these in the deck. The first being Perforos as a potentially like win more. There's a few different lines in the deck, and this one makes me just like, it was in the original like build, one of the original builds I was looking at, and I love sort of like going for an Enchantress build, but the more I started working on this, the less that became like a focal point, and I started just going for like value and Dockside Pursuit and all those different lines. Perforos just kind of like stuck around, so I don't know if it's like absolutely necessary anymore. It does like over time start to like threaten your opponent's life totals and just sort of like keep them in check. It's got evasion. It's going to sit on the battlefield, not really ever as a creature. So the thing is that, you know, you are threatening like Cloudstone Curio loops with Dockside. You are going to be flickering your commander a bunch. So that little 2 damage is going to like add up over time until you hit your combo, which is ideal here. This is like the closer for the combo that it's just, you know, you're bouncing infinitely, then it kills everybody at the table. That's awesome. That's great. That's why we have Kiki Jiki and Karmic Guide in the list though. That's why we have like a few other options to win the game. So I don't know how necessary it is. Still weighing that out, see how good it is. Like I said, this deck is going out and performing really well at like tables with friends, but out in a tournament setting, there's so much variance and there's so many different behaviors that you're going to see that you're not used to, that I don't quite know how effective like Perforos is going to be out there. Mother Machines, Elish Norn is just a great stacks piece. I think this is just another card that if I'm in these colors, I am going to put this in there, not only for like the double ETB, which is great, obviously double Pantlaza trigger, double Dockside trigger, double Imperial Recruiter trigger. You can go get any like 2 pieces that you need. So while that is there for that reason, the other side of turning off ETBs turns off other people's Docksides, turns off other people's win conditions, turns off other things. So it is a worthy investment at 5 mana, and it really sucks when it gets bounced, but you know, that's just the nature of the game here. Karmic Guide, Kiki Jiki, Felidar Guardian for that particular line. Sorceries are pretty pure here. Finale Devastation, Tutor, Twin Flame for the Dualcaster. Eldritch Evolution, I'm stupid to think that I could even consider cutting it. Just too good. And then Savine's Reclamation. Right now I'm thinking about, thanks to Will in the Discord server, just talking about a combo with like Grinding Station and Underworld Breach and Savine's Reclamation, Cursed Mirror, Dockside, loops like that. I'm really considering taking the Perforos out, finding a couple more slots, and then putting that in there as well, and then just fully commit to that Kiki Jiki line. So we'll see how that shapes out. If like I start running into problems with like clunkiness with the Perforos, I'll probably consider doing that, and then Savine's Reclamation just gets even better than it was before. Instants are a cool thing here because Cloud Shift and Ephemerate are 2 cards that are just going to help you flicker Pantlaza and help keep the value train going. There have been too many times where I cast Pantlaza and then I flip the Ephemerate and I'm like, okay, let's go again. Let's try it again. So it's not bad because on the following upkeep, as long as you can lock the game down with a few stacks pieces, you're going to get it back around. You're going to get a free trigger. So a great card, great way to sort of like dodge removal as well. Lightning Bolt, Noxious Survival, Noxious Revival is just great if like your food chain gets countered or sent to the graveyard, or you mill it through any particular instance. And then, yeah, just like sort of like standard protection. What I was saying earlier with these colors is that you're trying to not lose. And so that's why I'm on Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast. And I'm on Everybody Lives, which can be a little controversial because it can also like... The thing is that good decks win on other players' turns. Like they find the opportunity, they see the gap, and they shoot the gap when the opportunity is present. Now, if I'm going for the win and they don't have the right interaction, they're just going to try to win on top of what I'm doing. And so Everybody Lives is there to protect that. It just comes with experience and comes with seeing. I haven't seen it yet, which is good and bad because I've lost games because I haven't been able to see it. So we'll see where that goes. It's another one of those like flexible slots. If I am going full like commitment turbo aggressive sort of dockside loops here, then Everybody Lives is just like taking up a slot that could be used for a more aggressive piece that helps me get to where I'm going faster. Artifacts, we need mana. We need hella mana. So the obvious rocks are here. We're playing Agatha's Soul Cauldron because we do have a few creatures with like activated abilities that I'd like to like recycle, but also grave interaction. So other people are also using their graves in any which way or any manner. So like having just a little bit of interaction with the grave is oftentimes enough to prevent somebody from winning at the right moment. So like this is great if you are like, you already sacked your Ranger Cap to prevent the win. Tap that, exile the Ranger Captain, and then go ahead and give a creature the Ranger Captain ability so you can keep preventing or protect your win on your turn. It's just too versatile, too good. The +1/+1 counters do make a difference, and we're still seeing what that card can do. Even though it's been out for a little while, it's still like building utility. So we obviously have the ball, and then Cloudstone Curio for loops, Curse Mirror for loops, Birthing Pod for Kiki Jiki lines. Mostly like the deck is sitting here and it's saying like, if there's anything over 5 CMC, I don't want to hit it, which is why I started going for the Kiki Jiki loops here. So like, I want to be able to cast everything in the library or be able to pick it up and put it in my hand. So the only reason that I'm keeping Kiki Jiki and Karmic Guide like in this build is because they're always going to stay in the library. It's where they need to be. I don't need them until I'm ready to win. And so if I pick them up or draw them, that's the worst case scenario. But if I Pantlaza loop, they're always going to stay in the library no matter what. So I can always go for the Birthing Pod line and I can always get that to work. Ultimately, that's the purpose of it. Maskwood Nexus is a recommendation by Tordeth on the Discord server. I am curious to see how it plays because this is my first time like trying this in here. It's 4 mana. There's just the potential of like hitting it off of your first trigger, and then I would imagine you can just go crazy off that. You don't need to worry about flickering Panlaza. You can just whatever you play next comes in, makes a difference, gets that trigger, keep moving forward. I don't need to talk about the One Ring. We know what it does. It's one of the top 3 cards in cEDH right now. So it's there. Enchantments, Utopia Sprawl, Wild Growth. We need mana like crazy. Blind Obedience. Now, this is another win condition. Extort is often overlooked. Blind Obedience just is one-sided, so it doesn't make your artifacts or creatures come in tapped, but all of your opponent's stuff. Plus, just that, like, you go for Dockside Cloudstone Curio loop, and you have, like, the Blind Obedience out, boom. You've just won the game, just through this little 2-mana enchantment that's been sitting on the board the whole time. So people are going to see it. It's just a low-mana investment that stacks your opponents out and then also gives you a potential win condition. Survival of the Fittest, Tutor, same deal, put stuff in the grave. Now, this Elemental Bond, still working out the kinks here. I don't really know what is the best option because I was looking at like up the Beanstalk since Pantlaza is 5 mana, but that's just basically if I have already accomplished the food chain loop. That would be like a good option for me to start drawing cards and putting cards in my hand, roll through my library. Now, Elemental Bond, on the other hand, just requires a creature with power 3 or greater. that is far lower of a ceiling than Up the Beanstalk, and even though it doesn't draw a card on entry, I'm often going to be hitting that as long as I'm able to get to Pantlaza at some point. So Food Chain, this is the best printing of it ever, and if you don't have it, you should go out and you should go get it because it is so freaking sweet. Touch of Spirit Realm. If you are not familiar with Touch of Spirit Realm, time to get familiar. It is going to be in every whitelist. Well, every it might even be in blue farm lists, honestly, but there's just so many like utilitarian purposes here where it's like the channel is just the best way to lift the gates for a turn on your turn or somebody else's, or stop something from happening. But just a channel and then exile something until the next end step. So on somebody's end step, exiling something, whoop, gone until the next end step is just too valuable. And for 2 mana, it's, you also have the ability of casting it. It's an enchantment. And for 2 and a white, you get to exile target creature or artifact until it leaves the battlefield. So if it gets bounced, you still have utility purposes. The best form of removal in the format is a Cyclonic Rift or just some sort of way to bounce things, because oftentimes like killing things will result in like death triggers or some sort of like grave interaction, whatnot. Touch of Spirit Realm is underrated still at the moment. Smothering Tithe, this is one of those cards that I'm looking to cut if I'm going for that grinding station loop. Stay tuned for that. You can always find the deck list here in the description just to see where things have gone with the deck so far and all the updates that I've made. Check the history out. Land base is pretty lean. I'm going 29 lands here. A lot of recommendations I've been seeing is go for 30 lands if you're running Mox Diamond. I don't care. I'm playing aggressively. I'm just going to go for the one less and risk that little RNG factor. And then I'm playing a few like different things. Playing Sanctum of Eternity here. I'm a Zakama stan. I love Zakama. It was the first deck I played at tournament, and Sanctum of Eternity is like an infinite outlet there. But the thing is that it just allows you to get that one Pantlaza like bounce back to your hand and then get another cast, get another trigger, goes through Drannith Magistrate. You don't have to exile it, and so you can just keep kind of like working through. Speaking of Drannith Magistrate, I'm also playing Command Beacon here because oftentimes I'm not going to have the removal to like avoid that. Like it's just going to sit there and then I'm going to be locked out of the game. I need to be able to get some triggers at some point, and so Command Beacon is absolutely necessary. One thing I'll probably do as soon as I'm done recording, honestly, is find a slot for crop rotation so that I can go ahead and feel more comfortable about including Command Beacon. Otherwise, it's just about generating the right mana, having the right utility pieces. I Ganjo for Kroms or Timnas, and then having Boseiju for obvious reasons. I was playing Serra Sanctum, not valuable enough here, but Gaia's Cradle obviously is. Obviously a great card. But that's it. That's the entire list. I have nothing in the sideboard at the moment, and it is going to be a lot of fun testing and seeing where this goes. This isn't the quintessential list. All lists evolve, and it's not about the end goal. It's about the journey. So I'm looking forward to taking this deck to tournament soon and posting some results so that we can see how good this particular build of Pantlaza is and how risky or safe it ends up being. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And again, stay tuned for more Moxstars podcast content as we move forward. Thanks for watching. Peace.